Previously on PodCRASH with that Chris Gore.
Like, I mean, I have a lot of male friends. Most of my friends have a penis.
It could just be boner goggles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or lady boner goggles. He could tell you that, like, he poops rainbows and unicorns fly out of his ass, but you, like, think he's hot, so you don't really care.
Like, brain boners or brainers.
Wow, I really need to, like, let one out.
And now, the conclusion of this very special 2-part episode of PodCRASH with that Chris Gore.
Welcome to the show, folks. This is part 2 of our pickup podcast edition of PodCRASH, where I spoke to Jordan Harbinger and Adam Lyons about how to pick up girls. And I won't say that I'm actually good at picking up girls, and they offer a lot of great advice. Maybe I have some advice too, but I think that my secret is I'm just unafraid to be an idiot. And I think it comes across as endearing sometimes, which also explains this podcast. So in part 1, I played clips from the Pickup Podcast, and I invited on an ex-girlfriend, this girl Janelle, to listen to it and offer her commentary because I really wanted to get a female perspective on this. I didn't just want, all the guys speak to dominate. I really wanted to hear what she had to say, and she had a lot to say in the last episode, not only about male-female relationships, but about me, and it gets worse in this episode. Before we get to that, a couple of plugs. First off, this Friday, May 25th, I'll be doing a live PodCRASH with me at the Phoenix Comic-Con at the Phoenix Convention Center. That's Friday, May 25th at 3 p.m. It's in room 122. You can get more information at phoenixcomiccon.com. Also, on Thursday, May 31st at 8 p.m. at the Hollywood Improv, I'll be doing Comics on Comics Live. That's where they invite comedians to meet comic book creators, and it ends up being sort of a wash of a lot of fun. It's also a podcast. So that's on Thursday, May 31st. You can get more info at comicsoncomics.com. I'll also be doing another edition of Glory Stories as part of the LA Improv and Comedy Festival and that's Saturday, June 9th at 9:30 p.m. And I'm going to be doing that show with April Flores and Nina Hartley. That's going to be really interesting. So Glory Stories, June 9th, 9:30. And finally, another live edition of PodCRASH, Crashing the Defective Geeks podcast. And this is a free event. And that's Saturday, June 23rd at 7 p.m. It's at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. You can get more info at facebook.com/PodCRASH. Let's get right back to it. On part 1, you heard a lot of interesting information. Me embarrassing myself about kind of like my... the things that I've learned dating, which honestly, I hate dating. One of my least favorite things is ending a relationship and then having to date again. I can't stand it. Dating is just the absolute worst. It's not something that and I'm very decisive. If I meet a girl and I'm into her, that's it. A couple dates and I'm in. If I start to see red flags, there'll be problems. But this is stuff that we'll get into. And I think what's interesting about this, and this is why this had to be a 2-part episode, is I think I've learned as much from these guys on the Pickup Podcast as I have actually from Janelle, and more from Janelle about myself and relationships and stuff. And how we've both grown since we last saw each other, which was, 3 years ago. So let's pick up on the Pickup Podcast where we left off. Okay, so I'm sitting here again with Janelle, an ex-girlfriend, who graciously agreed to come on the podcast and listen to me appearing on a podcast called the Pickup Podcast, which you can follow at The Art of Charm on Twitter, and they're also pickuppodcast.com, all that stuff. So, okay, so this is my first what did I say? This is my first 2-part episode. I almost said pootart. What is a pootart? Now, this is what's so funny is
it's like a Pop-Tart, but filled with shit.
Yes, but what's funny is that maybe you're rubbing off on me because there's so many instances where you would try to speak and you would create words. What are some of the words? Like just by misspeaking, you would create kind of some hilarious words. Combage was one.
Yes, dramatic. was another one.
Like dramatically.
Yes, which I actually heard used on a show recently, and I freaked out. And I was like, someone else is not...
Someone's used dramatically?
Yes.
Combage I like.
Yes.
So now this is our round 2. There's more clips to listen to. And we just had kind of a good, late lunch dinner. And I'm gonna be honest, we've both been drinking.
That's true.
But I think I pretty much know the result of this is I'm just gonna keep drinking. I'm gonna keep drinking, and you're nothing's gonna happen is what I'm saying. I don't want the podcast listening audience to think that anything's happening here, other than kind of just a little bit of reminiscing and hearing some epic Vegas stories
And some drinking.
and some drinking.
Some making fun of whatever weird stuff I might have laying around.
But this is one thing that I always felt that you and I could do together. We could really be girls together. Yeah, well, A, drink, but B, we could be girls together. We gotta be girls together.
Yeah, let's talk about our periods. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, not that, but you did show me your shoe collection.
Yes, I just did. That's true.
It's I've seen bigger. I'm gonna be honest. I've seen bigger shoe
That's
collections.
what she said.
Right, exactly. So let's get to listening to the clips, and I'm really curious to hear because I know that in the next couple things, some of these stories involve you. I mean, no one would know that unless you pointed it out. But I try to be very respectful when I'm ever reference a past relationship or even a current one, like on a podcast. I always try to say, well, this one time, blah, 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 blah. Like I don't want to give details. I think it's just out of respect. So I just keep all stories nameless unless the person is in the room. And then all bets are off.
Fair enough.
All right. So now, Adam, we're both in relationships. You're married. I am in a committed relationship with a girl. Let me ask you bluntly a question.
Sure.
Do any other girls make their way into your relationship? I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this.
No, totally fine. I have a 100% exclusive relationship with my wife.
Right.
And so...
But this is a discussion point, because a lot of dudes, especially if they're thinking like, whether it be a long-term relationship and or a marriage,
Right.
they're thinking like, well, guess I'll be putting my penis into that for the next 50 years, whatever. Like, and that's like a fear among, I think, not just for men, but also for women, of just like the fear of being sexually exclusive.
Totally.
You need to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
You need to leave a legacy of a little pickup artist. A little
Yeah,
artist.
Especially if once you start doing stuff like that just for the story to tell your friends, and then they stop caring because it's just another story that you told your friends.
Yeah.
I think that's the point at which you start going, you know what? There's no longer any like marginal value to getting another girl.
I do think that, like, for me, and this is going to sound bad, but it's like it just becomes too easy. It becomes, like I was saying, if you get, if you do A, B, C, D, and E, you get F. It becomes almost like a program that's too simple. And those skills, there's sort of skills of whatever it is, confidence, whatever you want to say, like those are best applied to other things. You know what I mean? Other than more female conquest.
So true, and that's the thing. Like, that's how I always know someone who's actually good at this. Because I often meet people that are like, how do you just have sex with one girl for the rest of your life? Like, don't you get bored? And the minute they say that, I'm like, you're obviously not that good, dude.
Yeah.
You haven't hit your fill yet. And if you haven't hit your fill, you're not having that many. You cross a point when you're having that much sex with that many different girls where you're just like, dude, this is just boring.
It gets boring.
Yeah.
It does. It gets boring.
And
There's a lot of guys who can't relate to that right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, going, oh my God.
But it is that next level. It's like, first of all, it's like, wow, I can have everything. And then you do get guys that are like, you just want one sex forever? Dude, you're a loser. I'm like, bro, there's another line, man.
Yeah.
Wait till you cross the next one when you're like, oh, wow, this is boring.
If you can't resist cheating on a girl, then you're not ready to settle down. And I know there's grown-ass men that do that. But the thing is that, and like you were saying before, Chris, about exclusivity, you need to choose the girl that you're exclusive with because you want to, not because she's locked you into a sexually exclusive relationship. If she's like, we're not going to be dating if you're going to be seeing other girls, then the reason that's the insecurity, a fear-based thing. That's how she's going to control a lot of the shit that you do if that's the way that she's going to roll. You want somebody who's like, see whoever you want, just I don't really want to hear about it. And then after a while you go, okay, I'm making my choice. Not because I need to do that in order to sleep with you or I need to do that in order to hold on to you, but because you want her and that's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense because I feel like what you just said, like I went through that. Like I went through that where I was
totally.
like, but it was the longest period of time that I was not exclusive. I was like dating a bunch of different girls. The drag is, and this is what's ruined everything. Please, you have to have some tips about it. It ruined everything is social media. When I was dating her and then also dating other girls, this was such a freaking turnoff. Before I would even meet a girl, let's say I was going to meet a girl at a club, she would already have tweeted that she was hanging out with me before I was even there.
Oh, that's
and
lame.
then my name comes up in a search, and it's like, you know, I feel like it's good to be discreet out of respect,
Well, yeah.
but at the same time, like, that's what I felt like I was being used.
Well, yeah,
like, that's bullshit.
I was going to say the reason that was such a turnoff is because she obviously sees some value in other people knowing that she's hanging out with you.
Right? Why do you say stuff
Otherwise,
like that?
you wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
tweet, yo, going out with my girl Nancy on Wednesday, because no one gives a shit.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's the question about that?
Well, the thing is how does one? I guess when you identify it, that's just a chick to avoid. Like there are like certain red flags to me that like I don't think any other guys would notice. But then sometimes like I would date a girl, but going in, seeing the red flags, going, well, this is going to be the best ride ever.
Yeah.
Space Mountain, here we go.
Yeah.
Space Mountain Vagina Edition. Okay, so they really like to party in your neighborhood. I can tell they really like to party in your neighborhood a lot.
Well, I also like to party.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Okay, so what? Obviously, I could see you squirming again, not in a good way, while listening to that. What are your thoughts?
Well, okay, it's really weird to hear these guys who are so into trying to tell people like how to pick up a bunch of women. Like here's this way to all this women, but then they're like very much into the idea that then you settle down and you're just with one woman forever, and that's just how it works.
Right.
So it's really strange to me. Like they no longer, follow that path, and they're so adamant in believing that, like, well, yes, it doesn't have to be boring this one way, but they seem very tied into the idea that that's just how it is. And
Right.
I don't
Well,
think it has to be that way.
That's one way to go. Why? What way are you talking about?
Well, I mean, okay, monogamy works really well for some people, and that's great, and that's fine. But I don't think most people are really built to work that way. Like, societally, that we weren't that way to begin with, right? And, like, whatever, and it's all because of blah, 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 and history, and, like, we've all been kind of conformed to be this way. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with not being with just one person. Doesn't mean that you love that person any less. But it's like, if you're going to just continue, if you want to sleep with people because sleeping with people is fun, I don't see any reason why that has to stop just because you find someone that you like sleeping with a lot.
Right. I mean, like, girls are with dildos, and that could be a person.
It could be. Well, some guys have, like, real dolls.
Right. It's a rubber version of a person.
I think it would be really interesting to have a three-way with a dude and a real doll.
Really?
Yes, that'd be kind of interesting. I wonder how that would work.
I bet that there's a porn that's already been made that has that.
Probably. But I haven't gotten to do it myself, so.
Right. Well, you're one of the rare women who happen to like porn.
Yes, but also, I mean, at the same time, I don't like all porn. I really
Right.
like gay porn, though.
Really?
Yes. And
Wow.
tranny porn.
Tranny porn. All right. That's now because the whole thing is with that is because you hear people say, like those are chicks with dicks. Let's clear up a common misconception. That's not a chick with a dick. That's a dude with boobs.
No, well, I mean, you can simplify it that way, but no, not really. Like, I would really like to have sex with a tranny.
Right.
I'm not going to do this so far because trannies are not usually that into girls.
Right.
Which is really sad. But I think of it as the fun way of, like, you get the fun stuff like the boobs and, like, the pretty face, but there happens to be a cock there.
It's like
So it's like the best of both worlds for me.
it's like a human sexual transformer.
Kind of. It's kind of like having a three-way, but with, like, one person.
All right, let's listen to more of the Pickup Podcast.
One of the key things that I always do, or did before I was dating a girl or what have you, is I had a set of criteria, and I would actually break down the rules for a girl on day one.
Really?
So,
Wait
yeah.
a second. Okay, let me ask. Did you have like a speech that you gave, or just sort of?
I have 100% a speech.
What is it? Was it on first date or like maybe second date, third? Like
Mid-make-out.
mid-make. Okay, because I have
She's already got her chips on the table.
I have a speech that I would give on the first date if I liked a girl.
Yeah, it was mid-make-out, and then I have another one that I do after we have sex. So I've got mid-make-out speech, and then after sex speech.
Can we
Do
hear
you
it?
ever reveal it, or
no,
Do we have to make out for you to reveal it?
No, I
Chris will do that.
I'll give you guys. I won't do the whole thing because it's a bit more complicated. But the short version is mid-make-out. There's a sequence of words that I'll use that will make it very clear that I'm basically like, I shouldn't be doing this. And then the girl's like, what do you mean you shouldn't be doing this? You don't like this? So it instantly gets her to be defensive about the kiss. That's the first part. So I'm like, no, I really, it's not that. It's just, you seem really cool and I don't want to hurt you. So now what I'm doing is I'm pre-qualifying the situation to get permission to hurt her. And that's what I'm looking for. So I want her to say, it's okay, I'm strong enough, I can handle it. And so at that point, I know that any action I do, if she gets upset, she chose to follow that path. But now that's only socially acceptable for me to do that if I pre-warn her what will hurt her. That way she does have a legitimate time though she can walk away from it. So then I list exactly what I want out of this particular relationship, which back in the day was I want an open relationship where we can have sex, where she won't get clingy, she won't get needy, and at any point I can break up with her. So that's how I can get out of it without any of the drama or any of the issues. And so because I've dealt with it in advance, if anything comes up during it, I can literally be like, you knew about it, and she's like, you're right, I did know about it. And girls take that a lot better.
She'll still be pissed, though. Don't think it's
actually, you know what's funny?
She'll rationalize it.
Actually, they'll rationalize it. They'll be okay with it. You'd be surprised, because the key is you've got to bring it up at the minute they start getting upset. So if she say, most of the time, also you've got to be respectful, so I never do anything in front of her. But once she accepts that deal...
By doing anything in front of her, you mean what we were saying before, where like, you're dating other girls, but you're not calling her up like, yo, I'm out with 3 other girls that are not you. You don't or like posting it on her Facebook.
Or if you turn up to a club and you see her and you've got a girl, you bounce. You don't stay. Yeah. But that way, if she does say anything like, you know what, I saw a girl message on your Facebook when it really upset me when you did that, then the minute that conversation starts, I'm not like, oh, baby, it's nothing like that. I instantly go, hey, look, you knew the deal. You knew what it was. If at any point this gets too tough, I mean it. Like, we'll still be friends. I'm not going to be horrible to anything, but if you need that distance, then we'll just create that and have that distance. The minute you say that, the girl's going to be like, no, I knew the deal. I just want to let you know that it was tough, but I can handle it.
She has to consistently make that choice
and
over and
over.
over.
So that way I can do actions that would typically hurt a girl, but she won't be hurt because she accepted that contract, if you will. But now here's the key to sell it, because most girls would never just accept that. So I use a very powerful psychological technique to get her to accept the deal, which is why you do it mid-kiss. And you're like, this is like golden stuff, by the way. Like, this is like top stuff. I normally sell for this. I charge for this. So at that point, when so you say to the girl, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to hurt you. Like, you should probably walk away right now. She's like, what do you mean? You go, look, there are 2 types of guys in the world. There's the kind of guy that when you meet him, he's cool, he's fun, and you know he wants to settle down. He wants to he wants to hang out with you and be with you forever, exclusive and whatever. And be like, I'm really not that kind of guy. There's another kind of guy in the world who he loves going out partying, having fun, and you and him will make a connection, and you'll have some great nights out, take you out to some awesome meals, we'll party all the time, we'll have some fucking awesome sex, and we'll be really good friends forever. But we're also going to have our own space to see other people do other things, and we're not going to be exclusive. And then maybe after 6 months or a year, if we've been hanging out and we've been seeing other people and we don't want to hang out with anyone else, we just want to hang out together, then maybe we'll get together. But realistically, we'll probably just be really, really cool friends forever who, have sex and have a great time. I'm like, that's who I am. So if you can't handle that, if that doesn't sound like something you want, you need to walk away now. And then you don't say a word.
Right, the vacuum, right?
And now the perfect negotiating technique is always silence.
Right.
And it's the best.
And you hold that now. Now you remember, she was just making out with you. It is very difficult to walk away at that point. And typically what happens is she will choose indecision. And so she'll say to you, well, what if I don't want to walk away now? And the minute she says that, you go, well, in that case, you and me are going to have a hell of a lot of fun. We're going to go to some insane parties. We're basically going to end up owning this town. You're going to have some of the best sex you've ever had in your life. And I think we'll probably be friends for a very long time. She'll smile at that. You keep making out with her again. And then typically I stick my hand straight in between her legs. And that way you then reinforce the behavior with a positive feeling of sexual escalation, which makes her feel good. And so she feels good about the decision. She stays in the relationship.
Okay, I just have to say first, that was not me. That was Adam's whole rap. Would that work on you?
Okay, I'm all for the up and front and honest thing where it's like, hey, yeah, we're not, just because we're making out or boning this one time doesn't mean that we're exclusive to each other, and hey, I like to see other people. That's great, and that honesty is great, and that's fine. I don't like the weird manipulative thing behind it is really kind of gross, though.
Really?
Right, it's like, why not just...
What if you don't know about it?
If you don't know about what's in it. Well, it's
you don't know about it, you don't know you're being manipulated. You know what I'm saying?
But like this whole setup of like, why wouldn't you just say like off the bat, like, hey, you know, I want to see other people. I just want to let you know. I think that's fine in itself. Like the whole weird carrying it further just seems really strange and kind of gross. Like why wouldn't you just stop it right there and be like, okay, well, this is how it is, and this is open. If it's not okay with you, fine. But this whole like bringing up also like in the middle of like a makeout thing is like so. Like, what girl's gonna say no at that point? Like, you got her kind of like hot and bothered. That's like, you know, what dude is gonna say no if you like he's already got a boner and like he's not gonna like stop, right?
Well, do women have things like that, like little things that they give, like speeches, or have you ever heard of that?
I mean, I feel like I've probably given a speech, like, kind of, like, somewhere in the whole thing of, like, hey, this doesn't just mean that I'm just hanging out with you, or, like, this doesn't mean anything, or, like, hey, if you call me tomorrow, I might not talk to you. I feel like I've done that, but, like, not, like, you know, in the middle of something.
But you're also not like most traditional girls anyways.
I
right?
suppose, yeah.
No, I mean that as a compliment. I mean that like just because like there's a lot of girls that I think that would actually completely work on. I call them Nordstrom girls. They're like girls that shop at Nordstrom and they look almost exactly alike because they all shop at Nordstrom. So they all have like a certain look. You have a very unique look, you know. Although I gotta be honest, I've seen pink hair become more and more popular. Like even in like mainstream TV shows.
Yeah, but you know, I've still been doing it for over 10 years.
That's true.
So.
But like how do you feel about that like when you see like girls like copying your thing?
Well, they're not copying me.
Right.
So it's no big deal for me, and I'm great with everyone, like, doing whatever the fuck they want to do, as long as it actually is an expression of themselves and it makes them happy.
Right.
So, like, if they're doing it, like, just for attention, which is what some people do, then that's kind of not so great.
But I think that like, that speech, like, while I think it's like an attempt to be honest while also being a little manipulative, but I actually think that would work with a certain percentage of the female population. I don't think you'd be in that percentage, though.
No. Well, and also, I'd probably be more inclined to be, like, agree and just be like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm going to go bone these 20 dudes tomorrow. That's fine, right?
Right.
Like, you know.
I want to back up to the hand between the legs. For sure. This is not anything new. This is not going to impress you guys.
No.
But for our listeners at home, my move was with I had a different first date speech. Uh-huh. But what I like to do in the physical realm was always I would grab a girl from the front of the pants with the belt. You're grabbing just the top of the panties,
of course,
and you're kind of pulling up on the panties here as you kind of ease them against the wall.
Yep.
And it'd be like that kind of thing where it's like, and this is like just heavy kissing. I'm not talking like even having sex,
right.
but you do that move and you're pulling up on the panties while you've
brings psychological awareness.
It's a you're basically touching them in places without actually doing the touching.
It's so fun.
And that move, you guys have done that many times. But that one thing was always like a whoa, you know.
But I love meeting like naturals. Like you've learned all this stuff separately, and yet all the stuff you're saying is stuff that we teach.
Right.
And this is what's so fascinating. And that's how you know this shit works. For anyone at home who's wondering how it works, two people who independently create something and it's identical.
Yes. It's evolved in. I mean, we've never met before this.
Right.
You've never read anything from me or him.
But you didn't even know the standard.
Right. Didn't even know this stuff existed. And before I met him, we were doing the separate stuff that we didn't know existed. So all this stuff evolved from in isolation, essentially, and all goes pretty much towards the exact same
because the techniques are effective. And this is just something I learned because I was in. I mean, even was weird was even in college, I always dated girls that were really hot, that would make because girls check out other girls
for sure.
So that helped me out, and then just being in a relationship for a long time, that gave me all this sort of like time to observe my other male friends and how they fuck shit up.
For sure.
So that sort of, and then also sort of being thrown back into being single after a long time, I just had to figure this stuff out. But one of the things, and this is actually my, quote, first date speech, yours was the first makeout speech, developed from that. It's like, I don't want to waste any time dating girls where things go nowhere, where you get to the fifth date, you find out you're not compatible, or it's like a third date, and you've also spent money, it's money, time, it's like, I don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
On the first date, if I like a girl, so we'll go out something casual, be drinks, whatever, and it's a moment where I kind of feel like it's okay to say this. There's been some kissing, touching, whatever, is I'll say, it's similar to yours, but completely, it's also a speech that's malleable in the sense I'll change a little bit depending on the girl.
For sure.
So I'll say something like, there's something you need to know about me. We've had a great time, but there's something you need to know. It's like, on the one hand, I like to be romantic. You know, I like to hold hands. I might write you a love letter. I don't like to just cuddle. I like extreme cuddling. And I believe that, you know, it's easy to have fun going out and going to big parties and Disneyland and on vacations and whatnot. That's easy to do. But the real test is if you can have fun folding laundry. Mm-hmm. So I am a romantic. At the same time, you should also know that I might grab you by the back of the hair, shove you against the wall, fuck you in the ass, and come in your face. Now, if you like both...
You're truly a romantic.
The soft and the sweet, the romance part, and you also like the hard and the fast, if you like those two things, then I think that you and I might be able to be something. So it was, again, I didn't directly say, like, you have a choice, you should walk away, but I basically left it like, now, not a single girl ever turned me down.
No,
what always happened is the girls would find themselves super turned on by that speech because, and a lot of them, and it may or may not, I'm not saying it always worked out, but what I'm saying is that girls would think like, oh, that's stuff I want to try.
Sure.
I want to try some more extracurricular, dangerous types of sex. When I was first dating in high school, there was no internet or email, all that.
You're on AOL chatting away like, what's up, girl?
I do consider myself something of a writer. And I can write some dirty fiction. I can write stuff that's cute. That's this one girl where we ended up like going out together. Is she was with a dude, and all I said to her was, I said, I'd really like to date your clone. That's all I said. Like basically expressing my interest, but in a safe way, and it was cute, and we were communicating, and it's just I do have not that they're lines, but like I know certain things I can say that are effective that I and the thing is, and email and text also gets misrepresented a lot. A lot of people say, oh, like, email's bad for communication. No, if you're a shitty writer, it's bad. Yeah. If you're a good writer, the intent is very clear. It also comes from knowing the source.
Sure.
So that was my first date speech. But the problem is a lot of girls were interested in trying stuff that was crazy and wild. They just, in most cases, what would happen is they just couldn't keep up.
Well, right. You're selling a fantasy here, right? I mean, no girl's going to be like, no, I hate passionate sex, or no, I don't want to have...
Love letters.
No one's like, I don't love pina coladas or getting caught in the rain. Right. I mean, there's a reason that song is popular,
But what happened was that they I feel like, at least maybe it's because I dated a lot of girls that were younger, and they just don't know themselves well enough. I feel like a girl needs to reach a certain age where she knows herself, and so those things. The funny thing is, I had a text version of that speech because I did online dating this a long time ago. That speech, the text version, got me banned from dating websites.
That's really funny.
Like, just kicked off where they're like, we refunded your money, we had complaints, because it does sound kind of rapey. That sound.
But you know what? Like, it's a great marketing angle.
It's also a good screen.
I would
technique banned from dating sites for being so powerful.
Well, it was just, to me, being honest. But also, like, I just wanted to get to further quicker, or at least sort of get to permit, because I don't want to be in a relationship with a girl where there's so many boundaries. It's like, so your boundaries are you're just not into fun.
Right. Like well, the reason you got banned from online dating is because you're doing what everyone should be doing in online dating, which is let's get the fuck off the internet and meet up in person.
Right.
So that this tool is done and it serves its purpose.
Yeah.
A lot of people are on online dating sites, especially women, hate to call it out, because they're like, I got 20 messages in my inbox from guys that want to go out with me, and I'm not going to respond to any of them, and it's all validation, and I'm never going to take any action. But you're like, I'm not talking to you anymore unless you want what I want. And they're like, no, this is turning the tables in your favor, and I'm supposed to be here getting hit on by a bunch of dudes. It's the online equivalent of a hot girl standing at a bar, getting free drinks all night, getting flirted with, getting served right away, and then going home with her friends. That's what that is. And so that's why they complained about you to Match.com.
Well, they complained definitely about the speech. I mean, but also, like, I had, like, funny dating. One of my online names was Datezilla, and another one was Love Spray.
Okay,
those were the ones.
That's a little risky.
And even the headlines, I would say stuff like, "I hate your dog," just because.
Well, it'll get them to open the message.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Like, you could have just been like, "No, you got it wrong. My name is Loves Pray."
Yeah, Pray. Exactly.
Yeah, you guys got this wrong. Like, I love
because
I love Pray.
Love was taken.
Yeah, you're totally. You guys misconstrued it.
It's not a reference to jizz.
Why would I do that? I like praying.
Wow. The funny thing was, a buddy of mine who's really good at the online dating. I never got good at it just because I thought I mean, that was my whole thing was just this honest move, which
sure.
really you need that personal interaction.
You need the
to be able to
nonverbal
say
communication to be able to get away with what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Precisely. But a buddy of mine who is so good at the online dating, he told me the line that he has like in his little bio about him was, it's like, you know, I've got rough around the edges, but I have my shit together. That was his headline.
That's great.
Was rough around the edges, but has his shit together. So, and that definitely describes my buddy. I mean, he's you know, he's a guy who's a successful screenwriter, but he also used to be a musician and likes to party. And so I feel like
needs help. The girl gets to fix things.
That's exactly it. If you can showing imperfection is not a bad thing.
One, I think you ever tried this panty move on me.
I never tried the panty move.
I don't think you did. 2, what if the girl is not wearing panties? And 3, is the clone move? Like really, is that like one of your lines you just say to everyone? Is that what that is?
No, actually no. I wasn't a line like when I contacted you, or when I was replied to you because you contacted me. That just came into my head. But yes, okay. I was you know what? To be honest, I was trying to show off to those guys. Okay. I was trying to show off to those guys that I actually had some lines. Okay. But that's I mean, to me, it just comes from I am a writer, so I think too much about shit, which is a blessing and a curse. But I thought that was a legitimate thing, like saying the clone thing, because technically at the time you had a boyfriend, I couldn't date you. Right. So,
but I also didn't have a clone, and then later we dated.
That's true. Right. But I could tell. First of all, your face. It's fun for me to watch your face listening to this stuff. Like you, obviously. Well, traffic. You have a lot of thoughts on this.
I do, but now they're all scattered all over the place. I'm like, what was that thing? I was thinking about that thing. What were they talking about again? Yes. What was that? And of course, now I can't remember everything. Because then I started focusing on some little things.
I literally, you know what I did? I think I blew your mind. I think I actually blew your mind.
That's not all you blew, did
No. But I think these guys are actually trying to I think they're almost being more exaggerated, because the guys they're actually trying to give instruction to really are they're nowhere. They have they're in hopeless land. I mean, right. Me in my darkest moments, I think I got a little bit of hope. A little glimmer of hope there, but they're really trying to instruct dudes who don't even have high school dating experience, or maybe even any dating experience. Right. But you're very different in terms of the female form, in terms of just the way you think about things.
I guess. Well, I thought it was really, when they were talking about women might have a profile on a dating site just for validation. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of feel like that's what Facebook is for, right? Exactly. And I'm like, that's for validation. I mean, for me, it's I'll get messages on sites, and it's the reason I'm not replying is because it's a person that I have no interest in. I'm not just collecting messages from let's see how many guys I can get, or how many couples, or how many girls, whatever, how many Ewoks, I don't know, I can get to send me a message. It's okay, most of these people that send stuff to me, I'm not interested in replying to, so why should I lead them on by replying?
But that's like you pointed out on the last episode of this podcast, the part 1, you were talking about how a lot of women are on social media because they need that validation. They need likes on Facebook to basically tell them that they look hot in a bikini.
Well, I'm not going to say that's the whole reason that they're there.
Right, that's not the whole reason.
But I'm saying that I feel like that kind of is a good reason for them to stay there or something,
I mean, for me, it's at replies on Twitter is a big deal for me. It's ooh, I really was funny with this thing because it got retweeted 150 times, or I got a lot of at replies from that. I know that seems kind of lame, but that's how I get validation, is for me being funny, is from that. It's I feel like I have a large funny penis on Twitter. I have a funny penis. It's the penis of humor. This isn't going anywhere, is it? It's not working.
What's funny is an ex of mine, back in the days of MySpace before Facebook, right?
That was a long time ago.
It's not long ago as Friendster. So.
Right.
But he would use pictures of girls because it made sense for what he did. But he was always very sure that his profile said that he definitely had a cock and whatever these sort of stats. But he would still get sent these form letters by dudes that were all just like, you're so hot, and I totally want to like bend you over and like piss in your ass and like take you to France and blah blah blah. And they were like these like weird detailed letters that dudes would just send. Because the other thing is that it's really easy to spot, on the internet, guys also have this form letter that they'll send out to girls, and it's very obvious when it's like,
really, they do. I could never do a form letter. That's
it's really
lame.
weird. It's really, really bizarre. And it's like, you can tell, like, they'll, like, maybe, like, make, like, a couple changes to something, but it's just something they're, like, sending out to every girl. It's like, well, that's also not really going to get you laid either.
Right.
It's like, if the girl doesn't feel like she's remotely special in some way, unless, like, I don't know, unless it's a girl who doesn't care about that, and I don't know. I mean, it really depends on the situation. But if you're, like, really trying to get someone's just attention, just sending them something that's, like, generic, that is like, hello, blank, I like your boobies. By the way, here's this long story of everything that happened. Generic, fill in the blanks. You know.
Yeah, I could never do that. I only say this now because you're in the room, but I could never do. No, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, you're right. That's just that kind of thing. I mean, it's like getting I feel offended getting a form letter from a company, much less a person who may or may not be interested in me. So that definitely makes you feel.
It's kind of like those spam letters, you know, that like even I get, where it's like, "Hello, I am Hot Claudia, and I live in Russia, and we are meant to be." You know, and it's like getting that, but even worse because it's not even like spam. It's like some guy thinking that this might work.
Well, I think Hot Claudia was trying to reach you, and I think you should actually reply to Hot Claudia.
I wish Hot Claudia would send me an actual, message. I would be kind of inclined to go bang it out with Hot Claudia.
I've broken my dick twice.
Yeah, how?
Shit.
Banging real hard, banging you the taint, and there it goes.
You're going full throttle.
Yeah.
And you're doing where you pull it all the way out back and all the way back.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of a boom, and it's just bends.
Yeah, you hit the taint, and then...
Now, I did it where it really hurt, and then we just kept going, and then the girl, we're done, and I look at the bed, and there's all this blood in the bed.
Oh,
and I looked right at her going like, it must be that time of the month. And then she pointed at me.
At your
I looked
purple,
down,
broken
and it looked
dick.
like Dexter had
Oh,
my God, freaking horrible. And I was just like,
I'm dying here.
Okay, so it happened twice, but I knew because this was the second time it happened. The one thing is I went to my doctor, and I was peeing brown after this thing happened. The one thing he said is that the genital area it heals incredibly well. Like, of all the parts of your body, that part heals faster, quicker than any part.
Thank
and
God.
It was less than a week later. I thought I had dick cancer when the first time I broke my dick, but the second time was like, all right, I think I know what this is. And by the end of the weekend, we were in Vegas. We were.
If it ever happens to me now, I know.
Yeah. You're like, give it 7 days.
It depends on how severe it is. Because it wasn't severe where it bent at a full right angle. It was just sort of a bend like that, maybe 45 degrees. Still, I'm not going to say I have had those experiences of going to the doctor, and then he just sort of looks at me, you had rough sex, didn't you?
Wow.
And the thing
He's like, sure you sat on your nephew's or your niece's Barbie doll in the bathtub. Sure, Chris, that's how it happened.
Yeah, and then the worst thing is to look up anything on the internet because it's always the worst.
Oh,
yeah.
Never use the internet for any kind of right? And
WebMD.
I don't care. When I get to a doctor, I'm just full on, here's what's going on. And he's just like, yeah.
He's like,
at least then he knows that you're not bullshitting, because the guys who go in and actually say I slipped in the bathtub and I went down to Barbie, that every person in the ER knows you're lying. You might as well say, I shoved this Barbie in my ass and now I cannot get it out.
I tripped foul and got a Barbie stuck in my ass, and the doctor's like, that's kind of a unlikely story. He goes, I mean, maybe it will happen once by accident. It actually happened 3 times. Yeah, right.
I don't know what it is.
All 3 of them are in there right now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Again, it's like the I don't care, but also I sort of like that thing. I am one of the people, I like to buy things that are embarrassing at the store.
Sure.
I will be holding the condoms in line. It will be at the top of the, my pile of things I'm shopping for, because I don't friggin' care.
Yeah.
And so I guess I don't have that shame gene where it matters. And it also that frees you up in terms of doing a lot of things. I'm not talking about just things related to women and whatnot, but also just, working in this entertainment industry where you know what I mean? You mentioned earlier, and I think it's important, I keep to my friends, I keep my career portfolio diversified.
It's awesome.
And so it's I'm doing books, but then, maybe the book business isn't so great right now. I'm doing something else.
Sure.
I got another, and it's important, I think, to have a slate of projects, because the one that is getting the most attention, making the most money, that's the one to put your attention to as it's going on all cylinders. Sure. And then those other ones you can get back to or revisit based on, because it really is, time management's become my new obsessive focus, because And that sort of led to that first date speech. It's like, I just didn't want to go 3-4 dates, spend all this money,
Why bother?
waste time to get with a girl who I just want to lay it out up front so she knew, and then it just accelerates things for good, not evil. I do think that, like, just for people listening to this that think we're assholes, I think it's important that, like, all this stuff, it's got to be for good and not evil.
Sure.
It's got to be for full disclosure, being honest.
And that's why we're very selective.
Yeah,
we
we
teach the upper end stuff too. It's always, you can't buy that stuff. It's not available for money. It's available for, if we like you, you will learn that, providing we've known you well enough. And
because look at the Jedi, they taught Anakin Skywalker. That didn't turn out so well.
Exactly.
It's a galaxy in a turmoil.
if ever there was an element or someone to learn from, that's it. While we're speaking about casual sex, actually, this is a great tip that I got told by a really good friend of mine, and it's something that I think people forget about and don't realize how important it is. But the tip is, always wear a condom.
Absolutely.
Always bring your own condom, and always take it with you.
Oh, that part is...
I know, right? Because if a girl's going to call rape, all she's got to do is empty out that condom in between her legs, and bam, you're done. So, always take it with you. Seal it up, put it in your pocket, and take it with you.
Oh, I usually flush that stuff.
I was always, I always, just from the standpoint of being responsible.
Yeah.
I don't want to, have to deal with her getting pregnant or whatnot. And that, yes,
just because of the crazies.
Thought of the last part.
The crazies, take it with you. Or flushing it down the toilet.
Yeah, flush it down the toilet. Yeah,
wow.
So you don't have a dirty condom in your pocket.
I don't know what you think about this, but one of my moves was always like, the moment I knew a girl wanted to be with me, she was ready to have sex, I would always say no. The first time.
Yeah.
Okay. Just as a way to assert, I'm the one that's going to be...
Yeah, you're the one who's choosing the time.
No. We may have sex hours later, whatever. But the first where she wants it, she wants to do it. I'll just say, I'll have a reason. It'll be like, I'll just say no, and it's just all I'm doing is taking the power back.
Yeah, well, I definitely do remember the dick breaking story, and I definitely do remember being blamed for it, but in a really angry, mean tone too.
So I was meaner in real life.
It was like. What is that? And it was like your dog just like shit in the floor. You're like, what did you do? And it wasn't even me.
I know. Well, you were partially responsible, right? Could you be partially responsible?
I didn't like do anything. Like I didn't like hit you in the dick with my fist or anything.
But but you were, because you were involved. You were involved is fair.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, I was there, like, you weren't, like, fucking the wall or anything.
Right.
I know of. I mean, maybe you were. I just don't remember.
Well, this happens a lot when, like, you're with a girl and then suddenly there's the surprise period, right? Like I always think, like, don't you know? Like, you should know, right? Shouldn't you know? Sometimes you don't know.
Well, sometimes you don't. I mean,
right.
It's not exactly 28 days,
Right. No, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. You're right.
But, yeah, you were, like, really... It was, like, really, like, I was the dog that shit in the corner, and you were reprimanding me for it, and it wasn't even me.
Can I just say I'm sorry?
Yeah, you should be.
I'm sorry just because I feel like I might overreact to something, and then, like, within 15 seconds go, fuck, I was a dick in my reaction.
And then within 15 seconds realize that you're bleeding out of your pee hole.
Wow, I feel like I really learned a lot from you guys. It's also confirmed some of my techniques, but also I'm rough on the...
No, but it's great for us to hear somebody who's like developed it once again. You know, we see this all the time. A random guy who knows nothing about this, who's really good with girls, and when you sit down and you start analyzing stuff, you're like, oh yeah, our stuff's exactly the same because it works.
I'm not trying to fuck every girl I meet. Like,
sure.
I am like, there's girls that I work with in a professional workplace where my charming them will get what I want.
Yeah.
Like there's a girl who works in the marketing department at G4. I felt like maybe I wasn't getting so much love from the network because I had charmed her. She really likes me, and I talked to her about her troubles with men and whatnot. Begin this conversation was very flirty. It helped me in other ways. Sure. I get things that I wanted within the company, so it actually it applied. Yeah. And the other thing is that one thing when you can get over like fear of. This is something that I would do, just ask for girls' phone numbers.
Yeah.
And because I feel like the dudes won't do that. Although I don't know that phone number is as important today as connecting on social media, because then it's phone number.
We teach that all the time.
Yeah, it's like, what is the level now? It's definitely changed to like social media connection, then phone number is sort of the last thing, and then almost never calling a girl. I mean, I actually seduced a girl just by text once.
Yeah,
It was
we
the
have a
whole
book on
first
that.
date speaks, the whole first date speaks, and all this stuff. It's just like it was all just with text, where I had like all the steps that I would have taken on that first date happened through a series of text exchanges over a couple days.
We at the Art of Charm, we have a product called the Textbook, and it's TXT. It's at howtotextgirls.com, and it's actually a book that teaches you how to get phone numbers, real quick primer on that, and how to text girls so that it compels a response. They'll always respond. They'll always stay engaged. You escalate sexually. They always want to meet up with you. They're dying to meet up with you. And then by the time they do meet up with you, they want you really bad already. So like you said, there's a whole system to that. We actually systemized it. Our team sent 7,000 text messages a month for a year.
Wow.
Kept spreadsheets and everything.
But also I think a lot of things that like you're teaching and stuff, it's just because guys don't do the obvious, which is just ask.
That's so true.
Yeah, always ask for the sale.
Like my opening, actually, truthfully, my opening line, which is very effective, is just hi.
Oh, yeah.
And because guys won't just say hi, they want to have a line. That's not a line, that's a connection.
Well, they're relying on a gimmick instead of confidence or nonverbal communication,
Right,
being solid or whatever.
And the thing is, what I hope for, and not with an agenda, but just like, yes, if it leads to something, great. If it doesn't lead to something, I am trying to create a real moment with another human being. Mm-hmm. And because they sense that, I'm not trying to pull a game on them necessarily.
For sure.
I'm just trying to have a real moment. And by having a real moment, that can lead to something. And if it doesn't, you know what? My takeaway is I've had a real moment with another person.
No, it's so true. And one of my favorite, so hi is incredibly good, and I think incredibly overlooked. Yeah.
Or I do this. I call it the up nod. Hey, hey.
Yeah. So
it depends on, you got to get the vibe.
Sure.
That's good at a barbecue or where there's more light. It's just everything is all like a vibe. It's like it's like tapping into the force.
I like to join into a conversation someone's having. By adding something that they may not have thought about, or
adding some.
The other thing that works with that, with just opening people up, is just genuinely being interested in them. That just because it's one of those things where like, part of my job is I have to do these interviews where I interview celebrities, and I'll generally get 4 minutes with them.
Yeah.
So I'll sit
done
down
those things.
4 minutes, and you got 4, and it's junket style. And you sit down. I have sometimes 15 to 30 seconds to establish a rapport with someone, and I can do it. I can sit there and I can sit down with one. I'm not going to drop names and whatnot,
sure.
but I'll just just by being real and honest about the situation, or saying, talking about the elephant in the room, just being, I think, a normal human being that lets them know that I respect them, I respect their time, that I'm not going to waste their time, and let's be real with each other.
Yeah, I did one once, a junket, just once. I got to meet, and the first thing I said was, it was non-stop, and they were just like throwing people in 4 minutes, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. I just looked at them, and I was like, they even give you a toilet break. And bam, that was it.
Yeah, of course, because that's a real thing. It's funny.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this.
It's like speed dating.
The person, so I've gotten a reputation of being good at those interviews, because what it does is establishes something, and then I can get away with saying stuff that's crazy later in the interview, which I'll save to the end. But it's with their permission. I'm finding out where their boundaries are, and then I know, I can get away with that. Well, I can say, like, I once, I will drop a name, I guess.
Fine.
But I interviewed Harrison Ford. We were talking about Han Solo. I interviewed Harrison Ford, and at the end of the interview, I said, Harrison, I just want to say, I love you. And he said, well, I appreciate the fact that my fans like what I do. And I said, I don't care about that. I thought you were going to say, I know. And he said, ask me again. I said, Harrison, I love you. He said, I know. It's a famous line out of Empire Strikes Back. I got to say, guys, it's been a pleasure.
Dude, hell yeah.
It's been an honor.
You should come to one of our intro seminars. They're on Sunday nights. I don't know when your work schedule is, but they're like an hour long, and our head instructor, Johnny, teaches like some very brief technical stuff about this, and you might find it interesting.
Well, one of the things that, just to end on one note, is this is something I would do when I would basically talk to, because I do consulting with independent filmmakers. What I began to find out is a lot of the techniques I was teaching to independent filmmakers, talking about helping them raise like $1 million for a movie. Because one of the things I'll ask them is, ask me for $1 million. Like right now, ask me.
Do you have $1 million?
No.
Awesome.
And so the whole thing is like building their confidence up to actually be able to not only ask for the $1 million, but have the backup and the confidence. And also, when I say backup, I mean like the business plan and like the credibility to be able to legitimately ask for it. And when I realized when I was doing that, like that, those skills actually helped me in the realm of of women. And one of the things that I would say is like, if you go into a party and you have some agenda and you're trying to do pickup lines, you're trying to like have an agenda, like you want to meet someone prominent in the
outcome dependency. Yeah.
Exactly, the Hollywood arena or the entertainment world, you're trying to meet them and you're so desperate and whatever. It's almost like going up to a chick, cold. I've never met her and say, "Hey, can I put my penis in your vagina?"
Right, yeah, of course.
There's something about it that's just gauche. It's off-putting.
Uh-huh.
It's
needy.
It's needy. Whereas I would be at these entertainment-related parties, and I'd sit there and I'd be talking to John Malkovich and saying, "Dude, I love those shoes. You gotta tell me where you got those shoes."
You're talking to him like a real person.
Exactly, because I'm the one guy that isn't sitting there trying to play a game or trying to kiss his ass or trying to say, like, what? It's just like, look, I normally go with this kind of Converse, and you'll be saying, I love those kind. I do have pairs of Converse. I'm not wearing them tonight. Suddenly, I've connected with someone prominent, having a real moment because I'm not with an agenda. I'm not trying to cast them in my movie. I'm not trying to do anything. And then what happens is like, if an opportunity comes to that, great. If it doesn't, I don't care because I walk away from that experience with that real moment. I feel like all those things I was consulting with indie filmmakers about, trying to help them raise money and put together a project, whether it be talent, dollars, whatever, it all translated to this. So I would actually recommend your program, not for just for guys who want to get laid, but for filmmakers who want to raise money.
Let's do it. Yeah, that's right. TheArtOfCharm.com. That's where that is.
I want to thank you guys for having me as a guest.
No, absolutely. Yes, it's been great.
Cool. Oh my God, this is awesome. This is great. We're doing guy hugs.
Yeah.
Guy hugs.
Okay, I'm just going to say, as much as I don't want to have to agree with you on anything, because that's not fun, yes, I will say that just a simple hello is usually a better line than anything else that anyone could ever say. Right.
I've always said that. Like, why not just say hi? Why try to use some phony BS line on a girl?
It
seems fake.
It comes across as stupid. It's okay. For all those guys that, have whistled at me on the street or like yelled like something to me, do you know how many of them I've slept with? None.
So you don't. So if a guy uses like some cheesy line or tries to whistle at you, you don't want to have sex with him.
It's probably that I don't. I mean, if I know him, and it's maybe one thing, and it's like as a joke, okay, that's...
Right.
I mean, that's different.
Completely, yeah,
but,
exactly.
It's just like some dude, like, the guys that, like, cruise around the street, like, yelling, like, weird stuff to girls, like, I have to wonder, this must have worked on at least one girl, because they keep doing it.
Right.
But who is that one girl that is going for it?
You know what that is? That's the verbal version of like on Facebook. I think that's what that is.
Like, I don't know how you kids use your crazy Facebook, but
right. But like, look, I think that this is why it was important for me to have someone have basically a dissenting voice here on this episode, is because this is sort of the male point of view of how this works. I happen to know, because I feel like when I've ever been involved with a woman, I like to be more intimate than just putting my penis in the various holes which are available
like her
to
armpit.
Me. Well, it's more of a crease, but that's a sexy crease. But you know what I mean? So I wanted to get a different perspective because I always think of that. I think it's the one thing, and I probably said this at some point. It's like, I feel some empathy. So whenever I do that, it's like, I would not want to be spoken to that way. I wouldn't want to be disrespected that way. But yet I'll do stupid things.
But it also can totally depend on, like, the night. Like, maybe that's just a night where someone could say something stupid, and that might be like, really? Okay, that's awesome. That's what I want to go for tonight. It's like Baskin Robbins, and their 31 flavors. There are more than 31 flavors of, like, a night,
Right.
So it could depend. Like, the weird dude whistling at me is never going to get me to, like, blow him in his car or anything.
What if that actually happened? You blew a dude in a car because he whistled exactly the right way that you were like...
I mean, I guess it's possible, but I don't really see that happening.
Okay.
But, I mean, that could happen, I guess. There could be, like, some weird dude, like, whose line would never, ever work on me in a million years. But, like, maybe he's got, like, the prettiest blue eyes I've ever seen. And I can see that, like, I can, like, totally make out where his junk is in his pants. Like, it looks awesome. And the bathroom is free.
Right. The bathroom... The blue eyes really got you?
I don't know. Maybe it might. I am actually a big sucker for blue eyes, but for some reason, no one I ever date has blue eyes, but I really like them.
Well, I have brown eyes. I have brown eyes. That's,
so do I.
Yeah. Well, yeah. but they're common. They're common.
Yes.
Blue eyes not as common.
It depends,
Yeah.
but
Well, no. First of all, I just want to say that I appreciate that you, shared your opinions. I think it helped balance out the testosterone with little estrogen from you, and then also just like trusting me to actually do this because, we have seen each other a bunch of times, and I think we've had that kind of like, and it's been a number of years, so we've had that kind of. That talk where it's like, we're all good. It was all in the past, which I appreciate because I can remember specific asshole things that I did. And
so do I.
That's one thing I can always count on is that women have amazing memories.
Oh, yes.
That is the worst thing. Like I have a
We remember every horrible thing you ever did.
Right. Like I don't remember stuff. I'm like, I just don't remember that. Like I don't remember that. Like I don't remember the evening. Like, but women like have like this insane memory for archiving every horrible thing you did or every single time you did not do a specific task that was expected
and
of
we'll
you.
remember about when it was and like
Right.
what was happening around then.
Right.
Like it was like the sister's birthday and it was exactly this night and this was the exact scenario of like what happened.
And you knew what you were wearing then.
Oh yes, I actually remember what I was wearing on most occasions. I don't know how that works as a woman. Why you remember? But...
Women have that. They like remember what they were wearing when a thing happened.
Right.
Yeah, that's weird.
And, when I used to change my hair color, I could tell you what color my hair was at the time, too.
Right, yeah. Well, you look good in all the different colors. I think
pink is really the one where it's kind of...
Pink is your color. I think you're a pink. I don't know what season that makes you, but...
I don't know. I don't either.
Anyways, I just want to thank you for trusting me to do this, and especially because you never even heard my podcast.
If I find out later that you just cut up everything I said to make it sound really weird...
Right.
I'm going to probably... kick you in the balls.
Like I could actually just take some of the audio and sort of cut it up to make it say like I like to blow dudes in the winter with they whistle at me or
right.
something.
Although I feel like I might have actually said that myself.
you said enough words that I could definitely cut them up and say something. So and I just want to thank the guys from the Pickup Podcast. Jordan Harbinger and Adam Lyons. You can go to pickuppodcast.com. You can go to theartofcharm.com to get more information about their seminars. And then you can follow them on Twitter at theartofcharm. So, and I just have to thank you, Janelle, for... And what the great thing is this, like I would ask you to plug something. Like, what would you like to plug, Janelle?
Myself.
Right. This is the thing.
Not in that way.
You're not on Twitter. You're not on Facebook. You don't... Wait a sec. You have a website. Do you want to plug your website or no?
No. No, there's nothing going on in there, and I don't
have
control over it anymore.
All right. So we're not going to... I know you do have a web, but forget it.
I do a bunch of things.
Yeah.
But
You're an award-winning filmmaker.
I haven't won any awards.
Really? Not with Kaleidoscopics? I can't pronounce it right. Is that right?
Kaleidoscopics, yeah.
Yeah, Kaleidoscopics.
I mean, it showed places.
Right. Because your film was in Cinekink, which is the...
It was.
Sexy Cinekink Film Festival.
Wow, that's the best description of it.
That's terrible. I said that
I was
awful.
there and a few other places, but whatever. There were definitely no awards for it. Actually, you know what is funny sometimes is go and read bad reviews and like bad things people have to say about you. It's actually what used to be one of my favorite things to do. I always thought it was funny.
I like to do stuff like that.
It's like reverse ego surfing.
Reverse ego surfing.
Yes.
Cool. Well, all right. Well, I just want to thank you again for trusting me to this. Now, there was one thing that I always do at the end of every show.
Okay.
I say, "Let's get out of here." Would you say it with me? And we can
Okay.
just sort of like, just say it. We'll say it together.
Okay.
So ready? Let's get out of here.
You're not cool enough for Ramona. You're zero. You're nothing. Me? I'm what's hip. I'm what's happening. I'm blowing up right now.
You are blowing up.
Right now.
There goes our deal.
You're still getting paid, right?
There goes our deal.
Oh. Okay.
You two make a good combo.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're still listening to this, you're probably a lot like me. You're the kind of geek who stays through the end credits of a movie because you want to read all those names. You want to know who those people are. Well, guess what? For that, you shall be rewarded. The first 5 people to reply to @PodCRASH show and say, "Let's get out of here," will win a free DVD. Also, if you'd like something for free and you didn't win the DVD, just send a self-addressed stamped envelope to PodCRASH with that Chris Gore, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California 90036. Also, you should like us on Facebook at facebook.com/PodCRASH, because you'll find out when new episodes go live. You'll find out when we're doing events live. And you can send messages directly to us on that Facebook page. It's so much fun. Later.